the question I put to you, Shane, I genuinely think Antrim are. I'd say they cannot wait to play Dublin, and they'd see that as a massive opportunity. And I will be treading carefully in the Dublin camp, because those bios are going to be going for you. And I just thought, it was a little aside as well, it was mad. It was mad. There was pictures going around of the game in Corrigan Park, and Jerry Adams even in the background as well. It's mad. It's like something you couldn't imagine it almost.
Yeah, and another thing that I keep meaning to bring up with you when we talk about teams that are trying to go from a low level up to a higher level. You know, Antrim have been away from the top table for a while, and certainly in terms of contending for anything. But the biggest part is, like, they've always had the hurlers, and they probably will always have the hurlers. And Laois have always had great hurlers, and Offaly, you've you know, for a lot of your history, you've had very good hurlers too. But then it's trying to match teams physically. So I always look at the likes of the NFL, for example. And you can have a team that's very much at the, like, there's 32 teams in the NFL, that, as most people know. But even the team that's at 32nd, there's probably the same level of fitness as the team that's at number one. And sometimes in the NFL, you can draft, like, let's say, a mercurial quarterback who's going to change your offense. You can draft in one or two other players, and you can go from, like, a bottom feeder to challenging for the Super Bowl very, very quickly. This kind of happens. It's not uncommon. Whereas in GEA, the teams that are at the very bottom end of the scale, the teams that want to climb up the ladder, the difference in terms of fitness is just, it's almost ludicrous, and it's something that takes generations to fix. So it doesn't matter if you're as tasty a hurler. It just almost, how are you ever going to get 30 lads, or maybe even like a club championship where it's that sort of level of competition to compete with the teams at the top end, i.e. Limerick, Cork, Tipperary, Kilkenny, and so on. You know, so I think that's one of the big things, that the bottom team just isn't as fit as the top team, and that creates a huge issue in terms of trying to climb up the ladder.
Yeah, if you can't match any of these teams physically, it's so difficult. Like, you're playing a different game essentially. You know, if you can't take them on for pace, if they know that they're going to be able to wear you down. I'm not sure if it takes generations, like you're saying though. Like, it's not as if these teams are doing nothing physically. It's just a matter of raising it another notch. It's a matter of having a 4 to 5 year strength and conditioning plan,
But that's a culture. And it's hard to change a culture overnight. They say it takes 6 weeks to change a habit, but to change a habit for year on year on year, like, I think every player is capable of really kind of turning their regime, their kind of diet, their fitness, their gym attendance, and all this kind of stuff, and getting a program and getting really right for 6 or 8 weeks or one season. But to do it year after year after year, and then have 30 or 40 lads doing it, that's very difficult.
Yeah, no, it's not simple. No, I do think lockdown would have afforded some of these counties the chance to accelerate these things if they really had their house in order. Like, I put it this way, I don't know exactly the individual work some of the Offaly lads did, but they're transformed physically compared to last year. It's just, there's no comparison whatsoever.
Counties would have gone in different directions, and this goes back to the NFL again. They'd all be doing the same throughout that, whereas there's so much personal responsibility, and then can our county go anywhere? You know, are we getting looked after? Whatever it might be, that there's so many variables that kind of makes it difficult for teams to climb up the rankings, because they can't get that sort of collective effort, or maybe they don't have the support levels, or whatever it might be. So if people have any thoughts on that, please get your comments in. Join the Our Game Supporters Club at Patreon for €5 per month to get audio podcasts of the Hurling and Football Show and much more exclusive material.